I'm back again with my December layouts in my Caran d'Ache journals and a bit of a chat about using coloured pencils, how to avoid transfer from your coloured pencils, how my chalk-based inks are working out for my stamps, and also how to make the most un-Christmassy theme look Christmassy with the addition of a Santa hat. I'm Ruby from the Useful Journal. I review dot grid journals and I give you an insider view on how to create journal themes with every possible medium under the sun. In Australia, Christmas is bang in the middle of summer, and so we will spend it at the beach or by a river or in a park, or if it's really hot, we'll be hiding inside in the air conditioning. So it always feels a little bit strange to be doing a theme in my journal for Christmas that's all about icicles and snow and fir trees and all that sort of stuff. I have done that, but this year I decided to go with a really Australian theme, and I have done, and this will be particularly understood by Australians, but I have done a theme based on the white ibis, and it's just a series of pictures of a white ibis wearing a Santa hat. And the reason it's an iconic bird in Australia is because the white ibis is unfortunately known colloquially as a bin chicken. And that's because, especially urban areas like Sydney, you will often see them in local parks hanging around bins, picking at the rubbish to find food. Unfortunately for the birds, they've been pushed out of their normal areas by urbanisation, and so they've kind of been forced into this situation. So it's a bit sad that we then pick on them by calling them names, but it's kind of a fond name. They're a little bit ugly until you look close. There are some pretty features, but they've got a big black beak and they've got some bald looking places on their skin and things like that. But they're an iconic bird on the east coast of Australia at least, so that's what I've used for my theme. I have done coloured pencils with a bit of a twist. So I have drawn my ibis and I have used just a Micron pen, 01 pen, which is 0.25 millimeters. I've used that to just give me the pen outline of the bird. Most of it is coloured pencil, but I have added a washi tape to this that is basically a PET tape. Actually, there's two washi tapes. So the grey and white one is a washi tape that comes on a big roll from Altenew, and it is leaves basically, but if you cut it out a certain way, it looks a little bit feathery. And then on top of that, I've added another PET washi tape, which is feathers, and I've cut that down a little bit to fit in the space and kind of collaged it together. So that's what's happening here. It's a combination of coloured pencils and the washi tapes. I showed this to my mother and she did not get it at all. Basically, I wanted to show, and I haven't done it very well, I hate when you have this idea and you know exactly how it works in your head, but then when you put it on paper, it just doesn't work. Well, it kind of works for me, but I know what's going on. So this is a white ibis from Australia. He's on the beach, on his beach towel. There's a fence over here, and it is so hot, he's sunbaking, and he's taken off his feathers and hung them over the fence. Basically, it's like taking your shirt off. He's taken his top half off and he's off his wing as well and hung it over the fence. He's still got his feather pants on. He's just taken his top off and put it on, hung it over the fence because he's sunbaking. I thought it was a really cool idea, but Mum didn't get it at all. And I don't know whether it's because I haven't drawn it properly or because, I don't know, it's look, maybe it's a bit of a weird idea, but anyway, it's summer. He's at the beach. He's like enjoying himself, enjoying the sun. There's a big sun. I tried to make it clear. Apparently it's not clear. So I have also because I wanted to do a more Australian theme, but I still wanted a hint at Christmas in there. I have done Christmas hats. So all my ibises have Christmas hats. So that's the basics of my theme, really. You're just going to see a whole bunch of ibises with Christmas hats. All the rest of them have their shirt on though. So that's my title page. So I've done stamps and I've used my Versamagic chalk inks. Now, if any of you have seen a video I did a fair while ago now about using stamps in your journal, I had done all this research and I've had all sorts of problems with inks going through pages. And the recommendation was always that these inks were best, they're chalk-based ones, because they don't go through the paper. So let's see whether that's true. I've got my title there and it doesn't show through. So that's really cool. Then I had my monthly calendar. Now, I don't know if you remember, but last month I did a weekly at the beginning of each of my week's daily entries. And I just realised that I much prefer being able to see my whole month together. So I have gone back to having a monthly spread. Look, I seesaw all the time. Like, I didn't have a monthly spread in October. I had weeklies and they were one page after the other, but they took up a lot of pages and I really didn't think it was necessary. I mean, I've hardly written anything on that page. Like, all this writing could have been fit in like half a page. So despite it looking pretty, it's not a good use of the page for me. So then I went back to doing this, but then I didn't like not being able to see the weekly, all the weeks together. So back to a monthly it is. I suppose that's the reason the bullet journal method does tend to rely on the monthly log and then the daily logs. It kind of makes sense. So monthly calendar, very straightforward. A lot of people tend to do it with the weekdays across the top and turned around that way, but I wanted to do it this way for this month because it left me more room for my picture on the side. I have used stickers from Linus Pots, and this is a summary based one. I've only used a few of them just here and there to fill in a few gaps. Very, very cute stickers. She also has washi tape and a few other things, lots of planner related stuff. Absolutely recommend her. I love her little artworks. So yeah, the daily is straightforward. Now this one is a much simpler picture. It's just a white ibis, and they're white because they're mostly white, but they have black legs, black skin, black beak, and they sometimes have black on the ends of their wings. So just a white ibis, stepping it out with a Santa hat on. And I've used the washi tapes again there. I've added a few washi tapes too, just to brighten up the page, and I think it really lifts the page. It would be a bit dull. Like if you look at it without those, it looks a bit dull. I just think it added a bit of extra pop. Oh, I was going to go back and explain what happened here. So I've got a bit of, it's not white out. I actually used a Posca marker, white one, it's a thick one, to cover up those bits. And what happened was, when you use coloured pencils and then draw or write on the other side, it transfers. And that's why there's a bit of black here in my sunshine. And one thing I've done in thicker paper journals is spray it with hairspray, and that sets the coloured pencil and stops it transferring. But I forgot that this is only 90 GSM paper, and it's not going to cope with hairspray, which is liquid. And what happened was I sprayed this with hairspray and immediately it started showing through to the back of the page. So far, this journal has coped pretty well with things showing through. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't even ghost particularly badly, considering how thin the paper is. I mean, there's not much ghosting there. But obviously, if you spray a wet substance on it, it's not going to cope. And so it showed through a bit. So I just had to colour a bit with the white pen, which has ruined it a bit. And I looked at, like, I was going to get some paper and stick it over the top, and then I went, oh, that's going to look worse. So you know what? I just left it. used a bit of the Posca pen to mark it over to cover it. And what I did instead was you just get, while you're still drawing, get a piece of paper that wraps around. So when you are drawing on this side, if it does transfer, it's just going to transfer onto your scrap paper. That's how I manage it while I'm drawing. Once I'm working in it, it doesn't tend to be as much of a problem, but I have in the past kept the paper in there the whole time I've been using the journals. I'll do that basically. And keep, like, that means when I write on this page, nothing's going to transfer. It's a bit of a pain. I prefer the hairspray option, but not an option in this particular journal. Then I've got my trackers, and I love my trackers. I use them quite heavily. I started skipping again, like jump rope again last month, and I did pretty well. Where is it? I did pretty well. I skipped fairly often, and I am already noticing that I can manage a lot more skips per session. So I'm not dying quite so quickly. I am tracking sets of single skips that I do. I'm also practicing like little tricks and things that I know how to do, but basically I decided I'd have an ibis in a Santa hat, jumping rope, and then all around here is the days of the month, and I'm just going to record the number of sets I do that have a decent number of skips in them and recording how many I did. I tend to stop at 100, and then I'll have a break and do some other bits of skipping, and then I'll try another set. I've got myself a skipping mat, being very careful. This is just to simply record if I go cycling or kayaking, just noting my goal, because we go back to my goals. I did have a goal to paddle or ride twice a week, so that's what that's in relation to. There's basically room to do 2 per week. Then I've got my steps tracker, back to the normal box style, because last month I had a circle and didn't really like it. Like visually it doesn't really pop, so back to the tracker like that. And then I've got my sleep tracker. Once again, added a little bit of washi to add a bit of extra pop, because it was, I mean, that chair does pop a lot, but I thought I'd add to it. And I really enjoyed having my sleep tracker spread out a bit more, because back in October I was doing my normal one, which is only 1 hour per box. And I am specifically tracking now how much time I spend reading or doing socials while in bed, so I can see how long I'm in bed and how long I'm getting distracted from actually going to sleep. I really am enjoying this wider format that allows me to record a bit more detail. I've got an ibis having a sleep on a lounge chair, an armchair. He's hung up his hat on the back. I don't know if you can see that, but he's kind of facing the back of the chair and he's got his legs tucked up under him. So my attempt at drawing, I'm getting a little bit better, but sometimes it's still a bit meh. But I'm happy with it. I think this is a really cute spread. Then I've got my mood and gratitude tracker, and they kind of just travel on to the following page. That works quite well. I haven't had any trouble with these stamps showing through, so I am really happy with these chalk-based inks. I think it's definitely a good solution for a journal like this. On this page I've simply got a tree with a few ibis in the tree, and one of them's dropped his Santa hat there. Then my liquids tracker, I love this tracker, and it's really working for me now. It didn't for a while, but once the doctor said you must drink 6 glasses a day, I have been a lot better. Like, look how much better that is. And so many days they've been able to tick off as having 6 glasses in addition to my coffee and other drinks. So I love this tracker, and I made this one a little bit New Year's themed, brightened it up a bit. There's a dancing ibis, a bit of streamers and champagne. Yeah, so that's that spread. I've got a task list here, and then I go into my dailies. My dailies, very simple, just have the chalk-based ink stamp. After I stamped, I then drew the individual numbers around the stamp. I've put a bit of washi and a few stickers along the bottom. Very simple for the rest of the month. You can see it looks pretty good once it's filled in. Just for the rest of the month, there's just 2 per page, and there was a spare column which I can use to do a review. The review is just like this, just a few notes about the main themes of the month. Really happy with this. I am using my Sailor fountain pen this month again because it just works well in this particular journal. It has a fine medium nib. I am using it with Pilot ink in a blue. Just open, this is my fountain pen box. I've got a video about how I decorated this actually. There's other videos about how I've done my fountain pen ink sample cards, and I am using Amoiro Pilot ink. So that's the colour I'm using. I was trying to decide between these 2 colours. I had a better quantity of this one, so that's what I'm using. And so that's my fountain pen ink. And that's pretty much it. And as I said, that's the end of this journal. I've got a few spreads planned there to wrap up the year. And I actually really love how the whole theme came together. It's a bit weird, a bit wonderful, a bit Australian, and I love it. Thanks for joining me to have a look at my December spreads. I hope you enjoyed them. I love including a theme in my journal that has my own hand-drawn art because, look, for me, one of the pleasures in journaling is looking back at a finished month and going, wow, that looks pretty cool. I really like how that turned out. I like all the colours I've used and things like that. I have pretty much finished this journal now. Once it's got December in it, I'll be setting up my New Year's journal soon. There's a few pages in the back which I will be sharing with you because I want to show you how I do my end of year summaries for personal goals and just for news and current events. So I will share those with you, but yeah. I will also share with you a flip through of this journal once I've done all that. So a few little things coming up. Bye.